Hello there. You have seen the channel, you've seen what sort of deal it is. If you are not familiar with the channel, if you've seen no other videos, they might not all. I am an idiot. Let me just proceed instead of trying to be clear when I'm not being clear. If you have seen no other videos, thoroughly amateur folks, thoroughly so. I'm Robert McKay. So now you know the channel, you know the status, you know who I am, and you're probably saying at this point, thoroughly amateur, don't begin to cover it. Oh well, I suppose we'll have to live with it. Or not. And yes, I understand that my fake English accent and my fake Scottish accent are not great. Tonight, I'm recording a review of Smoke Wagon Small Batch. Let me get the medallion in there. I'm assuming it's wax. I don't know. I don't test the things that some people put on there. Smoke Wagon does it. Old Granddad 114 does it. Balcones does it on all their bottles. And Smoke Wagon has that here along with the label. This is Smoke Wagon Small Batch. And just so you know, I'm not doing written reviews anymore where I did a whole ton of research. I'm doing just video reviews because it takes me at half the time to do a full review. And it's a ton easier on me. I like writing, but I dislike the fuss and bother of trying to get the same review into multiple places when I write it. So I don't know the mash bill. I do know that this is distilled in Indiana. That is why it is straight bourbon whiskey, but not straight Nevada straight bourbon whiskey, though this is a Nevada brand. To be a state straight bourbon whiskey or any other kind of whiskey, it has to be from that state. They have to distill it and age it in that state. And they are not making Smoke Wagon in Nevada. They're making it in Indiana. It's the MGP distillery. Now, there's this marketing stuff on the back label. I'm just going to tell you that it is the Nevada H&C Distilling Company in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's bottled and aged by that company, not distilled by that company. And some people find out that it's MGP whiskey and they automatically are prejudiced against it. MGP kind of sort of has a bad reputation among some people. I don't know why. I've had bad whiskey that came from the actual distillery that was selling it, and I've had some mighty good MGP whiskey. Now, the H&C in that company name is initials of the two people who founded it. I don't recollect their names. You have a government warning. Among other things, consumption of alcoholic beverages impairs your ability to drive a car or operate machinery. Now, I live in New Mexico, Albuquerque specifically, and I wish they would enforce the drunk driving laws. But I'm afraid that the judges are just as much involved in drunk driving as anybody else. It's New Mexico state sport, actually. Everybody seemingly drives drunk or under the influence of something. These cars go past you and you smell that stinking burnt rope smell of marijuana. And you know that boy can't drive straight. But this is supposed to be a whiskey review, not a critique of New Mexico stupidity. It has a right pretty label. This is 50, gad, I can't read the label, 50 some odd. I don't know what proof this is, to be honest with you. As best as I can read it, that is 50. It's either 50 or 56% alcohol by volume. I'm trying, and the proof is even harder to read. I think it's 50%, which would make it 100 proof. That is one of the pitfalls of not doing the research, but just getting what I get off of the label. If I can't read the label, I don't have the info. But if y'all are watching this video, you have just as much access to information as I do. I don't mean to be crude, I don't mean to be rude, I don't mean to be snotty, but y'all can look it up just as easy as I can. I'm here to review it. I'm here to review what's in the bottle. I appreciate Casey Allen of Beautiful Bourbon doing the research he does. I used to do it for my written reviews, but the reason I quit doing the written reviews was to make it easier on me. So let's pour some whiskey here. That is a tad bit more than I wanted, but you're going to have trouble seeing the level. It's right about there, so I have been drinking on it. Even before the actual review, I can tell you I like this whiskey. So, I've talked about it. Let's actually get into it. What's this let's? It's a habit, and other videos do it. They call themselves content creators. I am congenitally opposed to lemmingism, and so I tend to try not to do what everybody else is doing. I'm not a content creator. I'm a thorough amateur sitting here reviewing whiskey. By the way, why do I do this? Why am I swirling the whiskey around? Well, one reason, and I don't know if it's going to show up there, and this is my fourth glass in this glass of the night, but I like to look at the legs now and then. And I'm not good at swirling this way, but probably because there is, no matter what, the only way to have a glass completely free of the previous whiskey is to either use a different glass each time or wash it each time, and I'm not doing either. So the legs are forming quicker than I would expect, even from an 80 proof whiskey, to be honest. But that's one reason I like to swirl it. Another reason is it agitates the whiskey. It gives it more interaction with the air, and that brings the fumes up so that when I nose it, thus, I'm better able to smell the elements of what we call the nose. I might want to do a video on how to review whiskey. In my Whiskey Basics series, I've got one on how to drink whiskey, and I've got one on whether you should review whiskey. I might want to do one whether I put it into my sipping and talking or add it to the Whiskey Basics. I might want to do a video on how you review whiskey. But right now, I'm definitely getting the typical spiciness of a bourbon, the cinnamon and the brown sugar, spicy sweetness. I'm not drunk. If I was, I wouldn't be doing this video. But I am under the influence. You drink whiskey, you drink alcohol of any sort, it affects you. One of the most important things is to be conscious of that fact, as I am. My tongue gets tangled in my teeth anyways. I could go without drinking for another 97 years and it would still happen. But it can have an effect on speech, as it... I can't guarantee... I can't talk. I can't guarantee that that's what's happening here, but it might be. Anyway, I'm getting the typical spicy sweetness, see, I can say it, of bourbon, the cinnamon and the brown sugar. There's a little bit of an earthy note in there. Now, I don't mind that if it's a little bit. There is some whiskeys I've had that are so earthy I don't like them at all. Now, generally, I run into that really dirt note, as I call it, that where the earthiness is just like dirt on the finish. Sometimes I'll get that on the palate. I've never gotten it that bad on the nose. There's just enough earthiness here to give it a solid bottom. So you got that earthiness underneath, then the sugar, the brown sugar and the cinnamon. Of course, there's alcohol in there. There's maybe a slight mintiness, I'm not sure. There's some vanilla on that. That's another typical bourbon note. And earlier I got all down a rabbit trail. I was going to say something about the let's bit. It's a habit, but the fact is you might not be holding a glass in your hand. You might not have a bottle by you. And even if you do, it might not be this. So let's is not really a good habit to be in, because I'm a sitting here by myself. My wife's asleep. Kids are in Austin, Texas. I don't wish I was in Austin. You couldn't pay me to live there, but I do wish I was in Texas. But my wife likes Albuquerque. Guess where we live? And it's not something I get upset about. If she's happy, then I'm happy. Her welfare and her happiness mean more to me than my own, and that's the definition of love. If you don't have that attitude toward the one you love, then it isn't love. But let me go ahead and have a sip. That's about the mouthfeel I would expect from 100 proof whiskey, so I guess I am reading that right. And although I'm not referring to it, I do have my whiskey tasting sheet. I kept thinking cheat sheet, and that isn't what it is. And this is what I used to use when I was doing the written reviews, and I'm following the same format when I'm just doing the video reviews. Earlier video reviews, when I was still doing the written ones, are less structured, but the ones I'm doing now are following this format. Reason I have it is my whiskey rating scale is handwritten on the back. If you can't read my handwriting, don't feel bad. I'm the only one who can. Now that I've had a sip, I think I'm getting a little grain in there. And of course, all whiskey by definition comes from grain, and by law you cannot distill whiskey at higher than 160 proof. Excuse me. And partly because if you distill it at too high a proof, most, if not all, the flavor of the grain is gone out of it, and you just got pure alcohol. That's what vodka is. That's why there are so many flavored vodkas, because vodka in and of itself has almost no taste, or no taste at all. I'm getting the cinnamon on the palate. I'm getting the brown sugar, typical bourbon notes. There's some spiciness in there. It's a black pepper or red pepper, maybe black and red pepper mixed. And that's not typical for me from this bottle, but so many different things can affect your palate. I've been having some IBS problems last night and tonight, and that can affect the palate, the state of your health. Even though I feel fine, it's not that bad, but that still is a health situation, and it can affect your palate. The fact that I drank 2 scotches and a bourbon already, maybe that has affected my palate. It doesn't usually when I come to review on the 3rd or 4th glass of the night, but maybe the scotches have done it. And sometimes, no matter, even if there's no variables involved, your palate is just different. And so I'm getting something there that I don't normally get. I'm getting the things I normally do get. That's just an addition. In addition to what I've already mentioned, I can tell you it tastes like bourbon. It smells like bourbon. This small batch is not my favorite Smoke Wagon. K.C. Allen, I think I mentioned him already in the course of this video. My name's Forgetful Jones. I'm serious. I can come in the kitchen, open the cabinet, and not remember why I'm there, and I've been that way since I was a teenager, so 50 years or thereabouts. I was going somewheres. Oh, K.C. Allen recommended this on his channel, which is called Beautiful Bourbon. It's actually Beautiful Bourbon and Splendid Spirits, although it's almost entirely bourbon, at least since I've subscribed. But he spoke highly of this, so I got it. I've been intended to buy some Smoke Wagon anyway, and a couple of 3 times KC has recommended something I've been thinking on, and that spurred me to go get it, and this is one of them. But this is not my favorite. I'll have to check. I don't know offhand if I have reviewed the Desert Colt from Smoke Wagon. It is 115 proof, and in my opinion considerably better than this small batch. Now the small batch is good, but that Desert Colt, in my view, in my judgment, is better. on the finish, I immediately get spice and then oak, so that it's a spicy oak. There's just a touch of brown sugar there. The oak is now turning into semi-sweet chocolate, and oak usually does give me a chocolate taste. The only time it doesn't, I believe, I don't keep records of this, but I believe it's when there's just so much oak, all I'm getting is oak. I'm getting the tannin out of it, that bitterness. But I was getting semi-sweet chocolate. It's now becoming milk chocolate. And there's the spiciness still, a little hint of cinnamon and maybe some red pepper. And I keep a sniffing on it, partly because I enjoy nosing a good whiskey, and partly because taste and smell go together. And so as I sniff and I taste, as I sniff and sip, I'm not snipping nothing. Snip, 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 snip. I may be as crazy as KC, but I'm not as funny. By the way, that's the third time I've mentioned KC Allen tonight, or in this video. Go subscribe to his channel, please. He is entertaining. He's an executive bourbon steward, which means he paid good money, and he went through a several-hour class and passed a long exam. He knows what he's doing. He knows bourbon. And he's entertaining. Man, if I could be half as entertaining as him on my best day, if I could be half as entertaining on my best day as he is on his worst day, I would consider I'd done something. But go subscribe to his channel, or at least watch his videos and like them and share them. For that matter, as I record this, I have 76 subscribers. Never expected to get that high. For so long, I was at 57 and was content to be there, and now I'm almost 20 subscribers beyond that. So, if you like the channel, subscribe to it. If you like the video, click the like button. If you like the video, share it around. Maybe somebody else can benefit from it. Who knows? So, following my review format, that almost had a little bit of a mineral taste there in the finish, which is what I tend to get from rye whiskey, and I've not gotten it from this before. So even as you go through a glass, your palate can change some, and the whiskey can change some, and so every time you pour something, even if you've been drinking it for years, you might find it a little different than you used to. But going by my format, next comes a summary, which is, this is good bourbon. Yeah, I wouldn't call it great bourbon. I wouldn't say that it's superb or excellent or anything like that, but it is good bourbon. If you've not had Smoke Wagon before, this is not a bad place to try it out. It's certainly got a pretty bottle. The problem is it's this brown glass, so you have trouble seeing how much there is in it. But it's got this floral design on it, so it's a pretty bottle, pretty old-timey label, Old West stereotype label. You'd expect to see that kind of writing in the a Clint Eastwood movie somewheres or in a spaghetti western. But the whiskey itself is good. It isn't great, but it's good. And I may buy it again someday. As I said, I like the Desert Colt better, and I'm more likely to buy that again, but I'm liable to buy this again. Now, my whiskey rating scale, it's a Hicks scale. It has 8 levels with 1 at the bottom and 8 at the top. And I would give this Smoke Wagon small batch, I believe I would give it a good rating, which is 5. Remember, 1 at the bottom, 8 at the top. I'm giving it 5. Good. That is 3.125 stars. That makes it either 62.5 out of 100 or 6.25 out of 10. It's not a spectacular whiskey, but it's a good whiskey. And with all that in the can, I'm going to move that. I'm at 26 minutes and counting. Didn't intend to be this long, but my reviews do tend to go longer. Here's how.